Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
In a startling turn of events, Canada's last-minute diplomatic maneuver left the Trump administration reeling. As tensions mounted over trade disputes and tariffs, few anticipated the calculated response that would reshape North American economic dynamics.
This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time.
What strategic alliance did Canada forge in secret, and how did it blindside U.S. officials? The repercussions of this unexpected move continue to ripple through international markets, leaving economists and policymakers scrambling to adapt to a new reality. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. The Trump administration's decision to impose tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum marked a significant escalation in trade tensions between the United States and its northern neighbor. This move, which experts at the International Monetary Fund warned could trigger retaliatory actions and broader disruptions to global trade flows, was seen as inconsistent with established global trade rules.
And include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothing, and shoes.
The administration's rationale for these tariffs centered on national security concerns and the desire to protect domestic industries, but the economic implications extended far beyond the targeted sectors. The integrated nature of the US and Canadian economies meant that these tariffs had the potential to create ripple effects across various industries. In the automotive sector, for instance, parts often cross the border multiple times before final assembly. The imposition of tariffs on components could lead to inflated costs for American automakers and, ultimately, higher prices for consumers. This dynamic is not limited to the automotive industry. Similar interdependencies exist in agriculture, where fruits, vegetables, and livestock frequently move both north and south across the border. One of the most significant areas of concern was the energy sector. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of crude oil to the United States, consistently accounting for more than half of all U.S. crude oil imports. The extensive pipeline networks that deliver this supply raise concerns about potential price spikes and supply chain strains due to tariffs. This highlighted the complex nature of bilateral trade relations and the potential for unintended consequences in seemingly unrelated sectors. The reaction from the Canadian government was swift and forceful. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the U.S. tariffs as totally unjustified and a direct violation of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. Trudeau emphasized that these tariffs would harm both Canadians and Americans, underscoring the interdependence of the two economies. He pointed to studies indicating that previous tariffs had led to approximately 75,000 American job losses, according to the U.S. Congressional Budget Office and various Canadian economic institutes. In response to the U.S. actions, Canada announced its intention to impose counter tariffs of equivalent value on select U.S. goods. This move signaled Canada's willingness to engage in proportional measures to defend its national interests. Trudeau also urged Canadians to support domestic products in response to the tariffs, highlighting the potential for a shift in consumer behavior as a result of the trade dispute. As tensions escalated between the United States and Canada over tariffs, Canadian policymakers were quietly orchestrating a strategic pivot that would reshape North American trade dynamics. While the public eye was focused on the heated exchanges between Ottawa and Washington, Canada was laying the groundwork for a significant expansion of its economic ties with the European Union. The Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, between Canada and the EU, provisionally applied since 2017, emerged as a cornerstone of this strategy. CETA's ambitious scope aimed to eliminate tariffs on nearly 98% of goods and services traded between the two partners, signaling a new era of transatlantic economic cooperation. This agreement not only facilitated the exchange of goods, but also streamlined the mutual recognition of professional qualifications in fields such as engineering and architecture, fostering increased cross-border professional mobility. The impact of CETA on bilateral trade has been substantial. Since its implementation, trade between Canada and the EU has surged by approximately 65%, demonstrating a remarkable increase in economic exchange and cooperation. This growth underscored the potential for diversification in Canada's trade relationships, offering a compelling alternative to its traditional reliance on the U.S. market. Recognizing the strategic importance of reducing economic exposure to U.S. trade fluctuations, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government set an ambitious target to increase non-U.S. exports by 50% by 2025. This goal reflected a broader shift in Canadian trade policy, aimed at building resilience against potential disruptions in its largest export market. The strategic pivot to Europe was not solely a Canadian initiative. Both Canada and the EU prioritized closer economic cooperation as a means to reduce their respective reliances on the U.S. market. This shared objective gained urgency in the wake of U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, which prompted a coordinated response from both parties. The alignment of interests between Canada and the EU in the face of U.S. trade actions highlighted the potential for a more robust partnership. Experts at the Royal Bank of Canada emphasized the strategic importance of trade diversification, noting that expanding partnerships could offer Canadian exporters a buffer against potential tariffs or policy shifts in Washington. This perspective underscored the value of CETA as a tool for economic resilience and stability in an uncertain global trade environment. And beyond traditional trade in goods and services, Canada and the EU began exploring joint development of secure supply chains for critical minerals, essential for modern battery production and green energy technologies. This initiative aimed to reduce dependence on suppliers such as China, aligning with broader strategic objectives in both North America and Europe. The International Energy Agency's emphasis on the importance of stable partnerships in North America, particularly in the context of Europe's efforts to transition away from Russian gas supplies, further elevated the significance of Canada's pivot to Europe. This geopolitical backdrop highlighted the potential for Canada to play a crucial role in ensuring energy security for its European partners. Canada's strategic pivot towards Europe represents a significant shift in North American trade dynamics, with far-reaching implications for the region's economic landscape. Experts at the Royal Bank of Canada predict that this diversification could yield long-term benefits for Canadian exporters, providing a buffer against potential U.S. trade policy fluctuations. This move not only reduces Canada's vulnerability to American tariffs, but also positions the country to capitalize on emerging opportunities within the European market. The unexpected nature of Canada's trade strategy underscores the importance of diplomatic foresight in international negotiations. As the global economic landscape continues to evolve, the ability to anticipate and adapt to changing circumstances becomes increasingly crucial. The US-Canada-EU trade relationship is likely to enter a new phase of complexity, with each party reassessing its position and seeking to maximize its economic advantages. Looking forward, the trilateral trade dynamics between these major economic powers will require careful navigation. The United States may need to reconsider its approach to maintain its influential position, while Canada's strengthened ties with Europe could potentially alter the balance of power in future negotiations. This shift serves as a reminder that in the interconnected world of international trade, unilateral actions can often lead to unforeseen consequences, reshaping alliances and economic partnerships in profound and lasting ways.